Hi, Char. I'm glad we can get together today for this 10-minute Zoom conversation about breaking down tasks to make the lives of caregivers for people living with dementia a little bit easier. I'm Mimi Stender, Executive Director of Duluth Aging Support. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Char Johnson, and I am the Victory Chorus and Dementia Friendly Duluth Outreach and Education Coordinator. I also have my own business Through Their Eyes Dementia Education, and I'm a positive approach to care trainer uh, uh, certified by TIPA Snow.
And as we talk to caregivers, we know that often minor tasks can become very overwhelming, something that those of us take for granted, like getting ready to go for an appointment or making a meal or something. It can be overwhelming, so I'm glad that you're here to share some tips with us today.
Yeah, thanks for asking me over to talk about that because I think breaking down tasks can really be something that helps caregivers be more successful, which ultimately helps our person living with dementia be more successful as well. Learning, as we know, starts from a very young age. And if we think about the example of tying our shoes, we had to practice and practice and practice. But if you really think about that task, there are a lot of steps to it and they become meshed over time. And that's just a process of learning. And so when someone is living with dementia, oftentimes they forget the little minutia of the task and they skip things that are integral to being successful. So that's kind of what we're talking about here today. And I have an example for you if you're interested.
I Let's go with an example. I think we're going to talk about the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is something we talk about
Yep.
quite a bit when we're trying to convey this. Go for
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. So just to kind of put it in perspective, caregivers out there, when you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you really don't necessarily think about all the different things that you're doing to make that sandwich come together. And it's surprising. When you look at it as a whole, you end up with over 30 steps to making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, from remembering where the peanut butter and jelly is in the house, what cupboard it's in, getting plates out, etc. So there's a number of different steps that we take for granted. So bringing this back to breaking down a task for somebody living with dementia, if we think about them getting an instruction from us as a caregiver, and I am a professional caregiver, I was also a family caregiver for many years, and it's easy to forget that they don't necessarily remember all the steps. So I might say something like, "Hey, why don't you make dinner tonight?" Thinking, okay, I'm supporting dignity, I'm supporting independence, but I'm also creating a crisis for them because there's a lot of steps to making dinner. There's a lot of steps to actually doing things like picking out an outfit for the day, getting ready to brush our teeth or to take a shower. All of those things have multiple steps, but over time, since we learn them as young children, those steps have become indistinguishable from the whole as adults. But now we have the problem with living with someone living with dementia, that they've forgotten some of the steps. So
So
how
what
might
can
that manifest? Go ahead.
yeah, what can a caregiver do then to make that easier for them?
So really stick with those simple one or two step directions. A working memory, a normal human working memory, has about 5 to 8 things that it can keep in its head at any one time, or you can keep in your head with a normally aging brain. Alzheimer's disease, other forms of dementia, not normal aging. So they might be able to keep one step or two step. So if I were to be setting up dinner, instead of saying, "What would you like for dinner?" I might say, "Would you like chicken or fish?"
Yeah.
Giving minimum choices. Then I would get everything out and lay it out in a left to right pattern so that I have everything at my fingertips. Everything is safe and everything is laid out the way we're going to use it. That minimizes the frustration for me as a caregiver, and also for them as a person living with dementia. I would do the same thing with clothes, left to right. We don't want to be in the position where your loved one comes downstairs with their underwear on top of their pants or their bra on the outside of their t-shirt, which does happen because they forget the order of the steps. So laying everything out left to right. Let's say though that I don't know, I guess this is something that has happened to me as a caregiver where there's been a mistake. Those underwear are on the outside of the pants.
Right. How do you deal with that?
So first of all, you have to kind of step back. This is what I do. I step back from the situation. I take a couple of breaths. I assess it. Okay. Is this dangerous? Well, no, it's not dangerous, but it is a dignity issue. So I might try to talk about things like, huh, does that feel comfortable? Does that look right? Might try something like that. Or I might say, oh my gosh, you have spilled something on your pants, or I've spilled something on your pants, and we have to change them and not even talk about the underwear being on the outside at all.
Mm.
So we might use some of those backdoor methods to get to the point where we can actually fix the situation. Because although walking around in the house, maybe with your underwear on the outside of your pants, is not harmful, if we want to go grocery shopping, I'm not going to take somebody out with their underwear on the outside of their pants because that's a dignity issue. So those are things that we can do, but really backing it, taking a step back as a caregiver first instead of becoming frustrated,
Yeah.
and taking that time to take a breath, assess the situation, and make some decisions about how you actually want to go about handling that.
To us a little bit about how to keep the person living with dementia engaged in some of the tasks that maybe don't involve, that are more like preparing a meal as opposed to getting ready to go for an errand.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great question, Mimi. And as caregivers, you want your person to feel engaged in the world.
Mhm.
And how do we do that when if I look at a basket of laundry, and this is a very common one, everybody has laundry, right? So we all got to do laundry. But how do I get that laundry into the washer? How do I get the soap in there? So I have to break that task down. We're going to do one step at a time. I'm going to gather my laundry. Hey, let's go gather laundry. And we gather the laundry. Then maybe we go downstairs or wherever the washer is and open up the lid, and get the washer ready. That means open up the lid, getting it all in, getting the soap, getting it turned to the right cycle, the right time. All of those things can be one or two step tasks, all the way through washer into dryer, dryer into basket, basket to the living room or wherever you fold your laundry. And then actually, can I fold the laundry on my own, or do I need a demonstration? So I might, if I'm working with somebody with dementia, I might take a towel and start folding it and then hand them a towel so that we're folding together, but they don't have to try to figure out, how do I fold this towel?
Yeah.
I can see how I fold the towel. If we're putting together a photo album, we might separate landscape from people to make it easier to put that mass of photos that we've accumulated over years into a nice album. So you can simplify that task. You can also share the responsibility. Hey, if you crack the egg into the bowl, I'll stir, I'll get it stirring, or vice versa, so we can make our cookies together.
I've heard you also talk about maybe reminiscing about um, baking
Oh,
once a time ago, or as you're doing.
yeah. What a great, that's really great because there are pillars of wellness when you think about it. You want to have your social time and your thinking time and your physical time. And if you think about baking, you can incorporate all of those things into that act. So gosh, you remember when we used to make these cookies back in the day, and we always made gingerbread right before Christmas, and how wonderful that smelled in the house. And that can elicit a lot of memories from somebody living with dementia. Smell is so strong,
Yeah.
very, very strong in creating or in bringing memories forth. And so using all of those techniques together, you're going to end up having a heck of a lot better day than trying to give lots and lots of instructions about what we're going to do, or just, blanket instructions. It's time to get ready for the day can mean a lot of things.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about the person with dementia who really likes one task and really wants to do that task. What does that mean for the caregiver? I know you have some stories that you can refer to.
I, I think I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. As an administrator in assisted livings and memory cares, families would come in with a checklist. I want my mom at every single activity. I want my mom to do this, or my dad, or whomever to do this. And I want them kept busy all the time doing different things. And so my question always is that what your mom did? Is that what your dad did? Did they ever enjoy doing those things? Because you're not going to be able to force somebody living with dementia, or anybody else for that matter, to participate in things that they have no interest in.
Yeah.
And so what did they like to do, so that we can help find an individualized activity plan for them. And so when you're thinking about your loved one, if you're taking care of them at home or if they're in a facility, think about, what did they like to do? Did they like to bake? Did they like to play music? Did they like to do things like that? Now let's talk about somebody that's maybe a little bit more extreme. And at one point in the home care agency, we had a client who liked to fold plastic grocery bags. And that is what she liked to do morning to night. That was, in her mind, her job. And that's okay too. What's frustrating is it's frustrating for the caregiver, because I feel like I'm not creating a great environment for them if they're just folding plastic bags all the time. But are they happy? Are they enjoying that? And can you then every once in a while intermingle something else that might be different? Yeah, you probably would be able to.
Right.
And skills change over time too. So what they used to be able to do, they might not be able to do anymore.
Right, right. Well, we know caregivers can get overwhelmed, and
Hmm.
you've talked about, the importance of breaking down tasks, simplifying tasks, taking care of themselves. Um,
Hmm.
Talk a little bit more about the self-care and why that is so important for the caregivers. It's, for all caregivers of all older adults. It can be very stressful, but in particular, there's a little bit of an extra burden for caregivers of people with dementia.
Yeah, that's for sure, Mimi. It's a very difficult thing. To be responsible for another person 24 hours a day, to ensure that their health, their welfare is all taken care of, that all of their needs are met. And if you don't carve out time for yourself as a caregiver, you risk burning out. And if you burn out as a caregiver, you won't be able to take care of yourself, much less take care of them. And that can cause physical ailments, it can cause emotional ailments, all sorts of different things that can come from that, not taking care of yourself. So you going back to kind of what we talked about with the person living with dementia, what do you like?
Yeah.
What creates you? What energizes you? A walk, finding 15 minutes where you can actually get away and go for a short walk. Is it maybe exercise program like yoga? Is it listening to a meditation tape? Is it locking yourself in the bathroom and having a little bit of time to actually take a hot bath and relax with some good scents going on? You figure out what you need, but
Yeah.
at the very minimum, try some deep breathing several times a day to just reoxygenate your body. And there it is, when you take a deep breath all the way in the belly and release it, you're releasing that cortisol, which is that stress hormone. You're blasting it out. You're saying, I don't want you anymore.
Yeah.
And you're able to refocus. And
Yeah.
just even that can help. But please take care of yourself as a caregiver. Get some respite. Get a neighbor to come over, get a home care agency. You do an adult day service program. early on. Don't wait and say, well, when they get to this point, I'll do it. Or when they take care of yourself right from the beginning.
Right.
That's my best advice.
The Duluth Aging Support website has a resource directory, and one of the categories is caregiver supports, and there's some great tools on there. We encourage people to check that out. Are there any last words of wisdom, Char? We've
No,
covered
just
it.
hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hang in there and remember to try and break those tasks into smaller steps. Think about that peanut butter and jelly sandwich. For us, it's go grab the bread and the peanut butter and the jelly and make it. For somebody living with dementia, it's a list of 30 different steps within that. So that's important. Thank you,
Thanks for
Shar.
having me. I really appreciate it. It was really fun to visit with you and see you, even if it's through Zoom. And someday we'll be back together.
I can't wait. I can't wait for in person.
Exactly.
We'll see you
All right.
soon, Shar. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.